you need to understand is like the different order types require different vehicle types. Like obviously,
Very interesting. Yes.
Because if it's a burger with some fries and it's on demand, you're not going to send a cargo bike or a van, are you? Particularly if it's in Soho. Like, good luck. You need a bike or a moped.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's £1,000, order of office food,
you want it to be looked after.
You need a different vehicle type.
Welcome to Captive Conversations, brought to you by Captive Wi-Fi. I'm your host, Adam Foreman. This podcast brings you the best stories from suppliers, marketers, and operators from our beloved hospitality sector. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everyone. Episode 57, and I have JP from Slurp. As you can see from his t-shirt, I love the merch. Well done. It looks like a freshly printed t-shirt that you brought out of merch. Thank you for coming. We've spoken loads over the years, and it was really funny. I'll bring this up because when I messaged you on LinkedIn, it was like 2017. I think the last message I sent to you was, which is crazy. So obviously known about the product for a while, and your previous product as well. I think I must have used the code app quite a few times to get my discount at Crosstown. So that was awesome. But yeah, thank you for coming. We're going to dive straight in. So the last guest was Kelsey from Marquee. It's a US brand that basically does listings and feedback as well. It's really interesting because not everyone does it here. It's like you go to a restaurant and you want to book it. You walk up on it. Go on Google. Go on Tuesday. You have a look. You walk on it. You walk up and it's closed, but Google hasn't updated.
I see.
And they put in menu management stuff as well. It's super clever. I don't think enough people use it here, but it's an interesting tool. They've got some clients here, but massive in the US. And her question was, my first question was, my English is terrible here. What is your favorite food city in the world?
Favorite food city in the world? I'd have to say Singapore. The hawker centers. You can get the variety. It's kind of the beginnings of the food hall.
Yeah.
Like that's what hawker centers are. Yeah, and there's so many in the city, and it doesn't matter whether what demographic you are. That's where everyone congregates. And there's massive sharing tables, the big round tables that everyone just sits on. And the food is just so affordable. Like you can have a top class meal for less than $10.
Yeah.
In fact, that's really expensive. It's more like $6.
Really?
And just the variety. So things like, it's quite nostalgic for me as well because my parents grew up there and a lot of families there. You go get like sugarcane juice and you just see them pushing it through. And you'd have roti for breakfast. That's what I used to have as a kid. So I definitely think Singapore's just got that diversity. And it is a bit of a melting pot of sort of all Southeast Asian food
all
and cuisines and just how inclusive it is. You've
got all different like sectors, right? You got all different little aspects of Singapore with different like regions of like food.
Exactly.
It's really interesting.
It's like roti, for example,
Yeah.
and then you've obviously got Malaysian food as well and Singaporean. And it's really interesting actually, like seeing the next generation of people taking over the hawker centers.
Yeah.
Because there was a big worry that it's kind of not a very attractive job, right?
Yeah.
It's long hours, 7 days a week. You're essentially working out of a little hut.
Yeah.
It's 30 degrees. It's 100% humidity all the time. How do you get that sort of next generation to come in? But there's actually been some really interesting, younger people wanting to step up and take over, which has been great because it's not something that you want to see disappear.
No, it's awesome. It's really authentic as well. Right?
Yeah, and like Singapore is all about food.
Yeah.
It's all about sitting around that round table and having that communal.
I've only been once, and then we went to Bintan afterwards, which was very cool. But Singapore was amazing. It was awesome. Awesome experience.
You'd go there to eat, basically.
Yeah, we did. All right, amazing. Second question: what's the number one way you learn about new restaurants?
I don't think I have a number one way. There's a few different ways. You actually mentioned Code App, which is very relevant because Crosstown was very early into CodeApp.
Super early.
And I still use that as a great discovery tool. And I think it's great to try and go to different restaurants at different times of the week if you can.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice community-based app. So that's definitely one resource. I don't have social media. So discovering sort of through the normal means or the influencer means is not some way I do it. I'd say my partner, my other half, Rowena.
Yeah.
She's still a massive foodie. And
on social media?
She is on social media.
She'll be like, just open up TikTok and type a search in for new restaurants.
Yeah, more of the Instagram food porn style.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, definitely through that sort of more traditional route of friends and my peers.
Word of mouth is the best, right?
Yeah, word of mouth is still up there. And then actually for me in London, I think walking around, like I actually walked here from Shoreditch because it's such a nice day, and I went through Clerkenwell, Exmouth Market, up through Russell Square, places that I don't.
Yeah.
There's actually so much new stuff there, and you just don't know. So I still like that sort of organic discovery.
Yeah. I do too. I think the CodeApp is really interesting to see what's new, which I really like. Yep. So I don't really use social media for looking. My kids obviously, the first thing they'll do. But I didn't even come to my mind, which is really interesting. But I am a bit social. I am on social media mainly to post rather than to be. My Facebook exists, but there's nothing really on it.
Yeah.
I've stopped posting on Instagram except for Adam the Wi-Fi guy because we do. But I got to the age where. I think it's interesting because like the stats you see is that actually Google is still the #1 place for discovery. Or will it be OpenAI? Will it be ChatGPT next? Because when you're asking Siri, you can plug your ChatGPT in now. So I was talking to Marquis yesterday to Kelsey, and she said you can now go into OpenAI and add your correct listing.
Right.
Which is really interesting. Yeah. So rather than it having incorrect information, you can put your business listing into ChatGPT. When someone says, "Oh, where is this?" It will find some random info. So like Gemini, for example, within Google, I never thought they'd turn it on. So and now it's on. So it's all very interesting.
I think they're all playing around with it, right? There's a lot of testing going on, particularly with search engines and how they display things.
Yeah.
But I think Google Maps and Google Business Profile and Google Search is still.
Did you know that you can now post videos to your Google Business location?
Yeah.
So cool.
And you can post time limited deals, so you could.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
So
either.
if it was like happy hour on Tuesdays, that will now pop up in your Google Business Profile and on Maps for the Tuesday.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Google Business Profile, I've got a lot of views. I think it's such an important aspect.
I don't think people have realized. I didn't even know you could do the videos till a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's relatively new.
But I reckon Kelsey said that they really are going gung-ho for restaurants and listings and letting you do more and more with it.
They definitely are, and I think I see that as a social media channel. Actually, like it's the most underutilized by restaurateurs. It's got your standard listings of when are you open, but actually like you've got order buttons now. Order for collection, order for delivery. Slurp integrates through that, so you can go straight to a checkout. There's the videos, content. There's uploading your menus. There's time specified deals now, and if you start to engage with it, i.e. Google Posts, you actually just rank better. It's
another plugin. I can just imagine a Slurp plugin to plug into Google for your automation. It's a great. It's a great tool. I think
Google's still king in many ways.
Yeah, 100% agree. Okay, first question from our standard questions: best hospitality experience.
Ooh. I think where I've been most impressed. It was a number of years ago, but there's a restaurant club bar in Mykonos called Scorpios, which I think now Soho House own it and run it. But it's one of those places to be seen. But I didn't have any clue about it, and I went there with Rowena, and it was so unbelievably packed.
Yeah.
And they had obviously more like a club section and a restaurant section. And in this restaurant section, there was absolutely no tables left. It was so packed.
Yeah.
but the efficiency of them processing the drinks and the food blew my mind. Like it really did just feel, I was like, these guys are running this so slickly. So yeah, instantly I go to an operational example of what I was impressed by. But I just
it sounds like it could have gone so wrong.
Yeah. It was almost like walking into chaos of just like, okay, what is this place? It's a beach bar, it's a club, there's pumping music, there's a restaurant section. But it was so slick.
Yeah.
It was just so impressive and being like...
That's why it was packed.
Yeah, I think that was one of the few moments I've been like blown away by
it's interesting
the mechanics of it.
What your little brain thought of what comes back to what really works. Okay, best hospitality tech, but no self-noms.
Well, we mentioned CodeApp is a good example for industry discovery and community. I mean, it's hard to pick one specific thing, but there's definitely interesting tech happening.
Yeah.
Just recently when some of the team went to market halls, and I saw me and you had done a sort of ordering app, but aggregating across all the different vendors.
Is that me? Market halls or 7,000 Market?
Not market halls.
Box Park?
Box Park.
Oh yeah,
I'm
Box
getting
Park.
them mixed up. They're all
Because I'm like, we weren't market halls. Did they put that in?
No, Box Park.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Box Hall.
Box Hall, the new one.
The new one.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty slick, right? Because you can buy from all the different vendors. You've got on Bill. And I think that's...
And you can share the link. I think that one was just a little game changer. Because if you're going with the team and you're like, have what you like, you can just scan a QR code, and then you don't have to worry about giving people money.
Yeah.
You can just do it. So
I think they found quite a nice niche with either it's the food halls or I think it's like competitive socializing, which so similar.
Well, they're in the curb as well, right? So,
right.
It's to say, I think the challenge is getting to all the traders, getting the right thing.
Yeah.
And how you do it all. But I went to meet Matt at Box Hall, and have a chat with him, and we had food, and he was like, just scan this. And I was like, I've never done it before. I was like, what do you mean? Just scan it and order what you want. I was like, what are you talking about? And it blew me away. I was really actually shocked.
Yeah,
to make
it was a nice
something
experience.
simple. Yeah, it was a really easy experience. Like it wasn't, but it still asked me my number and notified me when it was ready. So there wasn't. It's the thought process has been quite good in regards to the single bill and splitting it across. So I think that was that's quite a nice recent sort of use case where I was like, definitely useful. There's just so many tools and technology out there now. And I think anything that's solving a problem for the operation side of things, where it's like making life easier. There's quite a lot going on that side, and then you've got the sort of guest experience side, and I think there's some really interesting tech on both lanes, so to speak. But hard to pick. I think this is the year of the prototype, right? There's I think with all the AI stuff I mentioned, with playing around with it all. I reckon in the next 12 months, you're going to see hundreds of like MVPs that have just spun out of nothing. Because in the past, you'd be like, oh, I've got a really good idea. Okay, let's go speak to someone. Let's go pay $5,000 to get an MVP, and then let's get some investment, and then let's get build, and let's do this. Now you can just go, I want to build a babysitter club that does this. I want to build a dog walking thing that does this, and it will just spin out for you, build the rough layout of what it looks like. Oh, it's good. And so I think this could be very interesting over the next year.
I think there's definitely going to be quite a fast evolution of how people use data. Because I think there's, if you think about it, you can start to really get some interesting tools to go, tell me something interesting about this transactional data. What can I learn from it? What can I action? What can I give to my area manager or my store leader on the operational side? And then there's going to be really interesting consumer insights as to, Adam.
It's pattern analysis, right? It's going to be mental.
Yeah, exactly.
There is some basic machine learning stuff out there, but now when you start to plug in the advanced tools, like, so for these questions I gave to you is my ChatGPT researcher that did a deep dive, and I will after this call I will send you. I didn't send it to you, but I will send you. It does a deep dive on you, So everyone I do
is scary.
It's really interesting. So I had Laura from Shaw on, and I did a whole deep dive. And literally, it was 6 paragraphs, deep paragraphs about her career, where she started, and I forwarded onto her afterwards. And she's like, it was pretty good. A few things were wrong, but it was pretty good. So I'll say it's very interesting. But yeah,
hopefully interesting for good reason.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Like I think that I had Elliot from One Lombard Street in, and his name's Elliot Hill, and there's an exec chef called Elliot Hill, and also the CMO or CEO or operations director of Nike. So it when it came back, it was like it talked about him being a chef and so on. So when I was asking him questions, he was like, so yeah, I was how did you know I was a chef? And I was like, he goes, there is another Elliot Hill. I didn't look properly. I didn't look at it, but it just pulled the sources out. So I make sure I put the LinkedIn URL in as well.
There's not too many JP things.
No, not at all. You're right.
Hopefully,
definitely a unicorn. Okay, let's go back. So before Crosstown, had you worked in hospitality before?
First ever job in hospitality. I was a dish pig.
I love that. Here or back there?
Back in Australia. So I was born in the UK, in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Moved to Australia, to Brisbane when I was 12 or 13. Went to high school there, did uni there. And my first job was on Saturdays, did a full shift at the university cafe, but I was still in school. So I was 15, I think. And I loved it because I became buddies with the chef and he gave me the best lunch for the week. But yeah, I was basically cleaning dishes non-stop for an exorbitant amount of time. Still got paid in a paper envelope with cash in it. I think it was something like $6 an hour or something. It was a long time ago. But yeah, that was my first exposure to hospitality. And I must have done that job for a few years. And then through uni as well, also in hospitality, working at bars, clubs. Had some really random jobs. I was standing on the doors of some of the clubs, telling them, your jeans are too tight or your jeans are too loose.
Oh, you're the door bitch. Yeah. I ran events for 7 years, so in London. So I was hiding from the door rather than being on the door.
Yeah,
to be fair. I was round the corner. But
I just had these massive security guards next to me. Brisbane had actually, I don't know if it still does, but it had brilliant nightlife. And a lot.
I think it's a shame. It's so changed. Like even like London now, there used to be so many awesome nightclubs, and Kingly Court, for example, Kingly Street used to have like 4 or 5 just on that street, and it just slowly disappeared. And the generation of people have changed as well. I remember, back in the day, you'd have Movida where they'd invite the 30 girls in, and they'd be like, yes, no, all come in early, all get free drinks, and then we'll all just send you to people's tables. And you can never do that nowadays. Could you imagine like the shitstorm that would happen?
No way.
So it's very, very different now.
Different.
But there's some cool places like Albert Schloss and stuff like that have come out. There's more experiential.
Yeah, definitely more experiential. I mean, this is the thing. Like we're even talking about competitive socializing, food halls. This is kind of the new wave of.
I love it. You have the selection, right?
Yeah, it's incorporating food a lot of it as well.
Yeah, I love that. They're like Swingers and all the others where you can, where they've actually brought in some really cool traders in. So you have the choice. Back in the day, you'd go somewhere and you'd have like one option. And people would be like, I'm not sure. Now there's that selection piece, which I think is pretty cool. Or people have just expanded the menus out. So but the competitive socializing thing is mental.
Seems to have really sort of stepped it up in the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, pubs are disappearing off the face of the earth, so something else is going to happen. Okay, so then after uni, when did you come back here?
So I've been in London for 15 plus years now, so 2010, I would say. So I did uni, started my career in Brisbane. I studied economics and business and got a job in economics. And in fact, I actually I stopped working in the club when I started my sort of professional job and had to suit up. But it wasn't for me. And I actually got a job back in a club on Friday and Saturday nights. Yeah. So it's like wearing a suit Monday to Friday.
And on the weekends.
And on the weekends.
Love that.
Just because I was, wanted to kick. So it really wasn't for me sitting in front of a spreadsheet all day. And then decided to change it up and move to London. shiny bright lights. And for me, it was really to make sure that I tried something completely different. Like I was always good with numbers, but I didn't want to be.
Yeah. So did you just pack up and go, right, London? Or is it more over? I've got some, or did you? There was the buffer. I'm like, right, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I started my career in 2007, which was the financial crisis.
Yeah. Yes.
So it was a bit of a baptism of fire because there was a team of 24 of us in this division, and by the time I left, there was 4 of us.
Wow.
And I was one of the 4. So it was just like this brutal cutting and massive learning curve in that sense. But I just didn't want to be doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And there was no better way than moving to the other side of the world. So I did that. And London is now very much home.
Yeah. So what happened? So did you have a... What did you do when you got here? Was there already a job, or
no?
You're like back,
I had absolutely
suitcase
no idea.
in, figure it out.
Yeah,
love that.
Had a suitcase.
The Aussie way.
The Aussie way, and
it will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it was challenging, right?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do something completely different. It's just like, so you've studied business and economics, you've worked as an economist for 3 years.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at doing whatever? And it took me a while. Like the first year, I worked for like a small consultancy that was actually on Carnaby Street. It was one of the offices above there. And then I took a job at a menswear brand called Lyle & Scott, which, the Golden Eagle.
Great brand.
And that was going through a bit of a momentum phase. And that was a really interesting job. Worked with the board, just helping them on all sorts of things, brand strategy and positioning. But always had the itch.
Yeah.
And actually, when I first moved to London, I lived very near to Exmouth Market, and Caravan had just opened.
Yeah.
The first ever site, and I would sit in there doing my CV, and that was almost the spark that led to Crosstown.
Yeah.
It's like, why is it so bloody hard to get a flat white in this city? And it was literally the coffee shop on Berwick Street in Soho called Flat White. And I was like, do I really have to go to Soho?
Yeah, because that was the only place, really, right?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And Caravan was brand new.
Yeah. And
it was Kiwi-led. And I was like, there just seems like a really big opportunity here for like specialty coffee. So kind of did a few jobs, trying different things. And in the background had been building a business plan, which actually started with the idea of specialty coffee.
Yeah.
And that evolved to be what is now Crosstown.
To be fair, you were one at the probably earliest doors of that product, right?
Yeah, I mean, I won't take credit for that. I think I did a business plan. I obviously had worked in the sector, but had never run a hospitality business.
Yeah.
I basically cold sent this out to about 100 people, 150 people. And I designed this like really elaborate like flyer, and it's stamped and even like a cup of beans. And some people were like, oh, are you trying to sell me coffee beans? I'm like, oh, fuck no, it's my business plans attached to the little thing on the side. And then one of those people that I met was Adam, Adam Wills, who had previously founded and run GBK. And then the short version is we kind of got to know each other over about 9 months. And my idea evolved to more of a bakery and coffee concept. And then we sort of honed in onto doughnuts. And we wanted to make a really sort of premium. Yeah. But we just felt the market was so right.
It was so bad. So bad back then.
Like we tested the market.
It's still bad now, to be honest.
M&S, Krispy Kreme, call them KK. And it was just mass market, quite low quality.
Yes.
Obviously a lot of sugar. And there was a lot of product development at the start to figure out, well, what would we do? And we came up with this sort of hybrid sourdough base. Yeah. And it was just so early on in the piece of sourdough. Like that really wasn't even a thing in London.
No one really knew about it.
No, and I remember standing on the stalls when we first started, and people were like, why are your donuts sour? Like it was literally such an education piece of what it was. Yeah. And I felt we were really at the start of sort of almost that bakery movement that happened. It was 2013 back then.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't even know about it back then.
Yeah, so I think it was really, it was great. It was such a.
So did you start on the stalls first?
Yeah, so it was just pure hustle to start with. We didn't have a bakery. We didn't have the money to start with either. And then I went and talked to, I think it was Camden Council, down Leather Lane, and I met this guy, and I just told him this idea I had, and he said, "I'll give you a pitch."
Yeah.
And we did the paperwork, and by then we were like, "Okay, shit, we've got to make some donuts."
That space on Leather Lane was banging.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it's still. I think it's still there now.
Or not, yeah.
It's still there now, but the further back where other restaurants were is a lot less, because you had Chilango back down the end as well.
Okay,
originally.
yeah.
But a friend of mine had a place there and a stall, and he's not there anymore. But it was banging. That was probably
Leather Lane was
awesome food, awesome like traders and
it was
great
really,
food.
Really lunchtime buzz.
Yeah,
the whole
so
area.
busy. Like it was packed.
It was so
like
busy.
lunchtime you'd get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were quite different, obviously, because it's quite a traditional market.
Yeah.
In the day we were next to fruit and veg and opposite clothing.
Yeah.
And I remember rocking up on that first day, and we sort of unpacked the tent, and everyone was just like, "What are these guys doing?" Like, we're trying to put the tent up. And, but then, I remember the first customer very well. He sort of was on a fixie, skidded past, screeched up, looked and went, "I'll have that one and that one, that one." I remember shaking his hand and being like, "You're my first ever customer."
That's awesome.
I said, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I run a brewery." I was like, "Of course you do. You hipster." So that was the beginning, and then we gradually went to more and more markets, and it was again just, I've been asked so many times over the years, "How did you get into these markets? Like, what did you do?" I literally went there and asked the traders, like, who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to get in front of?
Yeah.
And Broad Market was one that I was so desperate to get into, the Saturday market near London Fields. And there was this guy that everyone kept talking about called John. So you need to get in front of John. That's who makes the decisions. It's like, wait, who is this John guy? How do I find him? He's like, he's probably got, basically his shirt's going to be untucked.
Yeah.
He's going to have a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And he's been, probably try the schoolyard.
Yeah.
So one of them was like, "Just go check it out." And there was a guy there on his phone with a beer gut, with a cigarette. And I was like, "That's got to be John."
Yeah.
So I went up to him, and he just looked at me and he's like, "You're right." And I was like, and I just went into this pitch. I just explained what I was doing.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and went, "Next Saturday, 8 a.m. And I was like, "Okay, sure, we've got to get out together." And I stupidly said at the time, I was like, "I'll be the guy that comes every Saturday.
Yeah.
I'll be the one that comes." And for about 9 months, I did it every Saturday.
Wow.
And eventually I was like, "John, I need to get some stuff." Like I'm working my ass off here. Yeah. And that was in the schoolyard, which is, for anyone who knows, like Broad Market, it goes up to the top of London Fields, and there used to be the schoolyard. So, and I remember the day that John was like, "I'm going to upgrade you to Broad Market."
Ooh.
To the top of the street.
Yeah.
It was just such a proud moment. I was like, proving myself.
Yeah.
And we used to be next to Dumpling Shack.
Yep.
John from Dumpling Shack. That was his first pitch, and now obviously he's got a few concepts or a few outlets.
Yeah.
So a lot of traders that started there have gone on to.
So how many market stalls did you have?
Oh, we probably had.
Were there different days, or did you?
There was different days. A lot of them were weekends.
Yeah.
I can't remember the timing of them all, to be honest. But we literally had vans that would leave the bakery, and they'd have 3 or 4 tents in them, and we'd go and set them all up, and we then all pack them all down. Of course.
So at this point, now you've got a bakery. Now you've got the bakery.
Yeah, our first bakery was actually sub-leasing or sub-renting a catering company that specialised in pies in Battersea, and we were renting it from 11 p.m. till 9 a.m. So 11.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So we were using it in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And then having to pack everything up and they do their thing. And then we eventually found a sort of more permanent site, which was in Linford Street, again down in Battersea, which was about 1,500 square foot.
Yeah.
So it was great to get into that space because that was our
What was the transition like from market to bricks and mortar?
There was a pop-up.
Yeah.
Actually, it was Piccadilly Circus Station. We did a 6-month pop-up.
Yeah.
At basically as you come out the station and you could see it. In fact, at that point there was a company, Grind.
Yeah.
They did a pop-up there, so
Yeah.
it was at that stage when they were just growing.
Love that.
Yes, that's when I first met David, I think. And we were like, can we stop traffic? Our simple goal was, this is one of the busiest stations in the world.
Huge.
People want to get the hell out of there because it's underground, but can we stop someone for a coffee and donut?
Yeah.
Because the markets were always just donuts.
Yeah.
It's like, well, actually, the concept is coffee and donuts, so can we stop traffic? And we sort of proved to ourselves that we could. And that really led us to getting our first site, which ended up being on Broadwick Street in Soho, 217 square foot of it.
It is tiny.
It was a hole in the wall, absolute hole in the wall. And yeah, we just did it on the shoestring.
Yeah.
Designed the thing myself, and it was crazy. But we opened it, and yeah, we got traction straight away, and we did some really cool things that sort of put us on the map. I remember sort of getting one of the famous street artists, Nathan Bowen. You see his stuff all around London. Gone to graffiti the front of the shop on a Friday afternoon and with a ghetto blaster and just get attention. So we're very good at sort of that guerrilla marketing side of things, just to get the awareness out.
But again, no one was really doing what you were doing.
No,
I guess you were still even what year are you in now?
Probably the second or third year.
Yeah. You wouldn't. I mean, you still wouldn't. There was still no one.
Really. For us, it was like we're competing with sweet treats, right?
Yeah.
It was people like doing cupcakes or whatever else that the sweet treats that were.
Yeah.
But we were sort of the new wave of product, I guess, and we really were putting donuts on the map. To be honest, I don't think anyone had considered it as a premium product before.
No, never. And so, what, out of interest, what was in the beginning? What was the conversion from coffee versus donut?
In Piccadilly, actually, it was still more weighted to donuts, but it was quite a high proportion of coffee.
Yeah.
We found it really hard to establish yourself as a sort of specialty coffee operator. And it's because who wants to be tempted by a donut every time they get their morning coffee? So yes, we had the sort of loyal people coming in, but we were never considered that purist specialty coffee concept.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So it was always weighted towards.
So was it Crosstown Donuts? Was it always just Crosstown? Was it both the names? Because or did you cut the donuts bit after?
We did actually cut the donuts bit after. We originally had our domain name was like crosstowndonuts.com.
Yeah.
And then I finally managed to convince this guy to sell me crosstown.co.uk after about 5 years. So we got that, and we changed our Instagram handle from Crosstown Donuts to Crosstown.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to be more of a brand that was not just donut led, and we did end up introducing like cookies, ice cream, cold drinks and things. But we were always known for the core.
Yeah, of course.
The core product.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, so now we're getting to the interesting part when there was a need for something. And and how many, so before we get to that piece, how many sites did you get to?
Oh, geez. We opened, what was the second one? Brick Lane was the second one. And then I think there was Victoria, there was Greenwich, there was... Including markets, we got to...
So were you still doing all the stores and the markets at the same time?
Yeah, 7 days a week.
That's crazy.
364 days a year of operations, made fresh every day. Yeah. And like what you saw that day was made that morning. And we ended up supplying an airline in the background.
Wow.
Which was Air New Zealand, who were flying from London to LA, and they were serving them on business class.
Yeah.
So we had to supply them every day as well, and go through all the security stuff. It was crazy. So yeah, we did a bit of wholesale as well, like Selfridges and likes. So it was quite a diversified business. It was quite lots of routes to market. But yeah, we sort of found ourselves realizing that there was lots of opportunities to tap into different channels. Yeah. So you had your sort of weekend markets, your sort of store, bricks and mortar, traditional, and a little bit of wholesale. And then the inquiries started coming in.
Yeah.
You know, all the sort of emails for, I want 60 doughnuts because it's this, or I'm looking to make a proposal to someone, I want to use your doughnuts, I need it for a wedding, or I've got an event. And at the time, so sort of reversing back a bit, 2014, there was this little startup that came about called Deliveroo.
I remember when it started. I remember when Deliveroo and Uber started. We were given, because we had a load of clients who had started to use it.
Yeah.
And we were given vouchers as a tester, because each business, when they were early doors, when it started, I think Chalanga was a super early door adopter of both. They were like, give your suppliers, whoever you want, just give them. And we all got 20 quid vouchers.
Yeah.
So I gave them to the team. They were so excited. They ordered food, never arrived. Then they got another voucher, and they go, Adam, we're not doing this anymore. Can we just go and get our lunch from like Sainsbury's or Tesco's? Because it sounded great having a £20 voucher, but when the food never arrives. So it was very interesting in the beginning. But that was a very different piece of tech to come, right? You had the Just Eats and stuff, but
very different. And we were still just a market stall when we actually started talking to Deliveroo, and they were a tiny team. It was incredible. Like, it was right at the beginning of the journey. So we did start using Deliveroo, and then Uber came a couple of years later. I think it was 2016, and we were one of the first brands to use it. So we got exposure to the sort of marketplace online ordering very, very early. But in the background, we were creating this really loyal following organically through social media and just our presence. And the short version is we looked and gone, well, look, what e-commerce can we use to start taking these orders directly? And I'd done a bit of a deep dive into all the different platforms out there, Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, and they're all built for retail. Yeah. They're not built for hospitality. And what I was trying to do, which was, I thought, relatively simple, which was like, look, I've got a bunch of stores and markets. They've all got different opening times. Some are going to be click and collect only, some click and collect and delivery. Some I want to allow pre-orders like catering. What do I use? And I talked to a bunch of different agencies and people who had, built e-commerce, front ends, and it's like, you can't really use any of this.
No.
It's just not possible.
It's weird. Sort of click and collect never really existed.
And particularly the whole idea of an on-demand delivery, that did not exist and still doesn't really exist with those retailers.
No.
So I was sort of stuck there going, well, how do we do this? Like, this feels like such an obvious gap. Like, people are ordering through marketplaces. I know what the fees are. I'm paying it. I'm getting no data. How do we counterbalance this? And we ended up building an MVP. And that's really where I guess my journey with Slurp started. Yeah. Not by any desire to start a tech company at all.
It's interesting when you get pushed into something when there's a need.
It was purely solving our problem.
You're fixing a problem.
I just saw this, our challenge that from a crosstown perspective, but an opportunity that, hey, if I'm thinking like this and I'm seeing this, surely others are going to be in a similar position. And I get the fact, look, we were pretty early adopters of pretty much everything at crosstown, and it was still early. But we ended up building an MVP, and we took our first direct order through what was then, I guess the absolute bones of Slurp in 2017.
Wow.
And started to build that direct channel, and very, I guess with a lot of luck, got to a place where our direct channel was actually bigger than what we were generating through Deliveroo and Uber Eats. And that's quite rare in some senses. But we really figured out how to drive that sort of direct piece. And that today is still what we're trying to do, is educate the sector as to what you can achieve. It's been a really interesting journey in that sense. Like, I never had this intention to start a tech company, and there was a period of time where I was overlapping on both. I was still very much leading Crosstown with Adam, and then in the background building out and learning on this technology side. And I also think I got to a place where I felt like I achieved what I wanted with Crosstown. And
I mean, I literally walked past this little store you have in Newport Street, which I saw about a week ago, which is really cool. That because you're in that little alleyway.
Truck, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't even know now. Like I haven't been there for 5 years, but it's still there.
Yeah. I was like, that's cool. As I walked past it, it's not even a truck. It's like it is a truck, but it's beautifully designed little sort of like.
Yeah, we did HY vans.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I think the first one we did was actually in Spitalfield Markets.
Yeah.
And we ended up being there for years.
Yeah. So it was. I think. I listened. Give you props. It's a very cool brand. Very early doors of what it was. And then to do the market and the both together, like it's like and then build tech.
Yeah, it's. I'm a sucker for punishment. I don't know how else to put it. I think it was more out of just curiosity.
Yeah.
I think that Slurp happened
And why Slurp name?
Oh, it was a terrible name. It stands for Simple Language ERP. Don't ask me. It's a terrible name.
We need to get you better words for the letters.
Come up with something better.
I'll get my researcher to come up for you with my AI researcher to come back with some options for you.
Yeah, I sort of had this idea that there's like ERP systems don't exist for
it could have been a lot worse. Slurp still sounds easy to remember.
Yeah.
Easy to get to on the website, right?
Yeah.
So you think you did it right with the name?
All right. So where did we get to? We got to 2017.
Yeah.
Started using it, Slurp, I guess, at Crosstown. Then the rest of the 2018, 2019.
So after Slurp using it and learning and making.
The Crosstown using it, yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So after Crosstown using it and then you breaking it, probably loads more, and then fixing it and making it better. Who was out of interest? What was one of your first clients?
It was Jalupo.
Oh, was it?
And they still use it as well.
Really? That's awesome.
I literally picked the most complex fucking product in ice cream.
Yeah. It looks simple, but that tiny store makes so much money. It makes so much money, that store.
I think I can't remember why it ended up being Jalupo, to be honest. I think they were just willing.
Yeah.
They were wanting to do it. So we ended up enabling them, and I still do think they actually use it today.
Yeah.
For the online ordering. So we started learning in the background, and then we were sort of growing Crosstown in the background as well. And then it was really about 2020, 2021 where a lot happened in the world.
Yeah.
The world just stopped. And it was that I've never had an experience like this in my life, and I doubt I ever will again, where you feel like you lose everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so that was almost like one call.
Yeah.
Shit, we've got to get rid of everyone. We're going to die. It's Crosstown.
Yeah.
This is literally, the music stops. And then Slurp, which is literally was in a position where it was starting to onboard people. It almost, the phone couldn't
exploded.
It just absolutely exploded because there wasn't any technology out there to enable delivery. That was the only way they could trade. So you're almost just sitting there going, oh my God, I'm about to lose 7 years of blood, sweat and tears, and we didn't do anything wrong. Oh my God, I'm so under-resourced to deal with the growth here. What do I do? And that was a position where it was like, this is so difficult. Yeah. And the way that mentally I brought it together, to keep it together, was we actually used Slurp at Crosstown and became 100% online.
Yeah. And
we created the Crosstown Collective, which brought together suppliers of bread like Miller's Bakery. It was the guys from Estate Dairy.
Yeah.
There was rice and flour because things were going. It was flour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and eggs and things. All the stuff the supermarkets.
All the staples.
All the staples. And we were sort of selling them pre-order.
Yeah.
And we sort of capped out at must have been 400 or 500 a day. And we didn't have the ability back then to stop orders. So I'd sit up at night or whenever and refresh Slurp and being like, 501, close the store. But it actually worked. We stayed alive.
Yeah.
And we were lucky that we got a bit of press that got it out there. But we managed to do the same revenue online that year as we did the year before. Which was...
That's incredible.
It was crazy. And we helped, I think I'm most proud of helping so many businesses with Slurp through that period and working with businesses that we never thought we'd ever would.
Yeah, it also probably helps cement your relationships as well with them.
Yeah, I think I say that the pandemic is like the blessing and the curse for Slurp.
I had someone a couple of months ago now actually, he said, not in a bad way. He wasn't the way I'm going to say it sounds terrible. I wish the pandemic was here without the bad things. He said, without the virus, I wish, because it basically expedited technology.
Yeah,
all the restaurants realized that they needed technology, and he said now it's gone back to I don't need that. I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll come back. Rather than going, we need as much technology as possible because technology saves us. To now going back to, actually, I don't really need that. I don't need your product. Yeah, well, you do.
Yeah, and I can relate to that. Like, I think I call it the Peloton wave, where during the pandemic, everyone was buying Peloton bikes, and they were like, "Oh my god, we're going to change the world. No one's going to go to a gym. Like, we're all going to work out in our bedroom on this bike." And I remember they invested into this crazy manufacturing facility, pouring billions into it.
Yeah.
And I think they canned it before it produced a single bike because it was that wave.
Yeah, the wave.
The hockey stick of change. And we experienced that at the Slurp. And I think where it was a curse is that it's a blessing in the sense that we got to help lots of businesses.
Yeah.
It was a curse because we started working with businesses that we never intended to work with.
Yeah. And
there was a lot of sort of fine dining, Michelin star restaurants, the Dorchester, the Connaught.
Yeah.
I remember the Savoy was doing a £600 Christmas dinner meal kit thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fucking mad.
Meal kit stuff was awesome.
It was just mad though, right? We were enabling new revenue streams, but really they were never going to last. It's so hard to see that in the moment. We had massive growth and then massive churn.
Yeah.
And there was almost a reset. And it didn't help that where we had a strength was particularly around delivery, right? And connecting with all the couriers. But the couriers weren't set up to deal with pandemic volume. So there was always going to be a disappointed party.
Yeah.
And I think that burned a lot of people's experience. And it's needed a lot of reset since then. And sophistication in sort of last mile logistics. So there's been a lot of evolution, but it really bent us out of shape coming out of the pandemic. And by that point, I was fully into Slurp.
Yeah.
And
so had you exited Crossed Out at that point or not?
Yeah, so there was a period where some investors came into Crosstown, and that's when I officially stepped away and remained as basically a board member, but not involved day to day. And I was on the Crosstown journey. Sorry, the Slurp journey. Yeah. So and Crosstown still use Slurp today, so it's still there's still a relationship there in some way.
Still client number one.
Not quite anymore.
The original client. Yeah, the OG.
Yeah, the OG.
Yeah.
And that sort of period of the pandemic is such a blur for me, to be honest. I can't differentiate between the start and the end.
Honestly, it's for everyone. I was talking to someone the other day. I had a meeting with Yo-Yo, who used to do the wallet and at Laura Land just over here, and it was like the day before. And then they're like, yeah, we should do this together, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be really exciting, blah blah blah, good old chat. And my wife texts me saying, make sure everyone's got their go bag. Tomorrow is probably gonna be, and I'm like, guys, let's probably not next week. And they go, yeah, it'll be fine. And Market Halls, the FD at Market Halls, Katie Rose, said to me, I'll see you in 2.5 years. And literally to the date, they opened 2.5 years later. She was just on the ball. She literally knew. She was like, I'll see you. Literally, it was that, and they opened literally on that, probably just on the nose.
Such a crazy.
It was crazy, and I think for everyone, it enabled people to restructure and change how they see things. We had loads of clients still open. QSRs were still open and stuff like that. So it was it's definitely a blur. I mean, I got 5 points on my license of driving through Regent's Park because they changed it from 30 to 20, and the policeman just walked out of nowhere in the middle of the pandemic and gave me points. So that was my journey in there. But it was definitely a blur in
I remember like the first Slurp office, we were in a co-working space.
Yeah,
it was in the T building, and then because obviously of what we were doing, we were not essential workers.
No, you're key workers. 100%.
Yeah.
I had people the other day, and they were like, we were in the office during pandemic. I was like, if you work, because we had hospitality clients, I was still going to town, driving through London for no congestion charge, parking up, coming to my office, and doing stuff because we had clients still open. And if they had challenges, there was no one else to fix it. So
we were the only ones in the entire co-working space. It was mad.
Yeah.
And we just were working like our socks off, trying to deal with and help people. And just this stuff that we saw. Like I remember when there was a cocktail bar, and they obviously started creating like pre-made cocktails, and they were chucking in a free roll of toilet paper because there was a toilet paper. So they're like, that was their marketing spin.
I love that.
It was
I would have done that. I would have happily had a
2 cocktails, free 6-pack of toilet roll.
They would have had me. I remember being in my friend's garden, and everyone just trying on Amazon. Everyone was immediately on Amazon trying to buy the most expensive toilet roll you can. It was hilarious.
It's crazy, right? I think we all became alcoholics.
There's a wine guy near where I live who supplies a couple of restaurants, and he made the most amount of money during the pandemic because he literally turned up to my house with like 4 cases of like
so we worked with one of the wholesale wine merchants who are not consumer facing at all, and they're like, we need to clear some stock, so they did a blast and they did £60,000 in literally 1 hour.
Wow.
I won't say who it is, but they cleared so much stock. It was eye-watering. It was just like, oh my God, people are like just lapping this up.
Now we're getting to expanding out, more clients, and then when did we start adding more info about the data? Because we talk a lot about data, or as you say, data, but we can say however you like. When did you look at going, right, there's so much there, we can actually do more with it?
Yeah, I think there was always the intention that it would be the restaurants.
Yeah.
So like the key point of Slurp was we want to give the brand control. And that might be control on the checkout, how it looks and feel, control of the customer, and control of what order types they do. It was all about like, let's give them that configuration so they can decide rather than be dictated by essentially a marketplace. I think, so we were always generating that transactional customer data.
Yeah, it's there.
It was there, and it was then about plugging into the right CRM and making sure that you could read that data and then start to do your segmentation automation. Now, this stuff existed in retail. Just remember, like, retailers are ahead of the game.
Way ahead.
And, it was more about an education piece, and still is to this day, about what is possible.
I agree.
Because ultimately, the sector, people don't start food businesses because they want to use tech, right? So it is that sort of education piece about what's possible. And there's been so much technology that we've even built ourselves that we just, I think, surprise people of like, this is now what's possible. Wow, like I just had no idea that it's gone this far.
Yeah.
And trying to find that, internal stakeholder who will be that champion to sort of,
that's what it is, isn't it?
It's still the people side of it.
100%. I think
this is a people business.
The biggest challenge that everyone sees and everyone talks about is resource, right? So if you're a single operator owner, you're drowning in everything. But I've spoken to a 10-site operator and their team and their marketing person, is still drowning. So the resource thing is so challenging.
And it actually really doesn't change based off site count.
No.
We work with a brand that's got 60 sites and has 1 marketing person.
Wow.
Right? And we work with a 10-siter and it's got 1 person. You work with a single siter, guess what? It's the founder, right? There's always a resource gap.
Yeah.
I've seen in most businesses. And there's always, not always, but I'd say there's a majority of technology gap. Like, we've spitballing about Google Business Profile.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to know about that? Like, no. It's like we're in the sector and we're learning.
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure that we keep that sort of momentum of educating of what's possible. And that still remains, I think, the biggest challenge for us being a massive business, not just a steadily growing business, is getting it to market for what's possible, which is happening. I think it's a really interesting time. Look, there's always going to be challenges in hospitality, but we're massively resilient.
I think the benefit you have is as well that it's not just the platform. So you've got, because we have a Detroit client, we have Detroit Pizza and others as well, but Detroit Pizza, awesome. Nice guys. Great team. New site, Paulie's in Shoreditch.
Yeah, Paulie's is open. I think the team are going there tomorrow.
Are they?
Yeah.
I can't wait to go. They're amazing. But there's the click and collect. There's the app.
Yeah.
And there's also the CRM.
Yeah. So there's basically web ordering through their website, custom built app, loyalty, and then there's all the order types, which gives click and collect, on-demand delivery, catering.
Nice.
All that customer data goes to the CRM, and then they can do their segmentation and automation. So I want to target anyone who's bought a vegan pizza by in Shoreditch, hitting them with this campaign.
Amazing.
That's a great example actually of someone who's using it end to end, and will be using it at Paulie's as well. So it's that diversification of revenue stream in the business. So what we typically see is someone will come to us, or we'll get introduced to someone, and they'll go, guess what? 40% of my business is marketplaces. Like, okay, what do you turn over? Let's say 15 million quid. It's like, okay, so you're basically doing like £6 million on marketplaces.
Yeah.
Well, let me guess, you're paying around 30%.
Yeah.
Thereabouts, yeah. So 6 million. So you're basically paying £1.8 million a year in commissions. And you break it down for them, and you're talking about £150,000 a month.
Yeah.
You break it down in a day, and you're like, oh my God, like this is significant.
All I need to do is put a little slip inside my bag saying,
there's one tactic, there's multiple. But I think when you sort of present it in that way and going, we're not saying we're going to replace that entire amount, but you should diversify.
Yeah, 100%.
And put more money in your back pocket.
Yeah.
So
especially for corporate, right? Office orders and those sort of things. It's a no-brainer. I mean, the Just Eat for Business and stuff, War City Pantry are making killings who people are just moaning about it because it's terrible. You know, and there's no control over it. So I think that's the other piece I think is really interesting. No one really talks about catering much. Yeah,
it's one of the fastest growing segments for us. We've been enabling it since day one because, in essence, Crosstown was doing catering when we first launched. So I think that's a significant USP for Slurp and the sophistication of what's possible. There's definitely other options and like catering specialists, but when it comes to a full suite of different order types, I think we're quite unique in that sense. And restaurants obviously love large orders because in advance. Why? It gives them time to roster appropriately. There's no wastage. It's massive GMV. You're talking like £1,000 plus orders. We work with some brands that are knocking in thousands a day consistently on catering, and then helping them with logistics side sorted, or the delivery component.
That's the big challenge as well, right? If you don't have that in place, it sounds great having order. I remember clients of ours having to take trays and walk them down because they'd only do like under a mile or quarter of a mile. And they'd basically take trays not trays, but massive boxes, and their staff would run out and be gone for an hour.
Yeah, and you need to understand is like the different order types require different vehicle types. Like obviously,
very interesting. Yes,
because if it's a burger with some fries and it's on demand, you're not going to send a cargo bike or a van, are you? Particularly if it's in Soho. Like, good luck. You need a bike or a moped.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's £1,000, order of office food,
want it to be looked after.
You need a different vehicle type, and
I didn't even think. My brain didn't even go that way.
Yeah, that's how we think about it. And that's why we integrate with all different couriers and did live ops and tracking and the end customer support. It's heavy lifting. Yeah. Right? Like, it's partly tech, but it's partly humans. Like, we're in the background doing this because you don't want to stuff up these giant orders. And
especially the big ones.
Yeah, exactly. But what I guess we're seeing more and more is that someone will come to us with a specific problem that they think they have, which is like the marketplace example.
Yeah.
I'm paying millions of pounds to a marketplace. And then you sort of talk about, well, what else are you doing? Catering, you're talking about that. Click and collect, an app, loyalty.
Yeah.
And when
it's so fragmented though, right?
You stitch it all together and you go, all of a sudden you're sort of really consulting and educating about how others are using this effectively.
Yeah.
So I really don't see us like, yes, we're a tech company and yes, we've got to sell, but I find more enjoyment out of solving the problem for someone. Problems like you do with what you do, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
I think, but that's your consultancy brain going, I'm going to sit outside of the picture and then come in and go, because the generic salesperson would go in and go, this is the proposal, this is what we do. This is what we are. Here's the website. I'm the same as you. I'm the same as you. My conversation when we talk about Wi-Fi will then start to tee off about tech stack and what else you do. How is
exactly.
And what are you doing for delivery and how else can? And they're like, but you just do Wi-Fi. I'm like, yeah, but I know everyone. I'm going to ask you everything. We end up having the conversation about how everything's connected. Next thing you know, I've introduced them to a different pod company. Just because they've asked a question. So your brain is going on the outside of it, going, hold on, I can make you more money. This is how I can do it. And I think it's interesting, and it's rare that happens in a business, and the founder-led stuff, right?
It is just like, I don't think it's just a founder thing, but I think it's a mentality thing about how we do it. Because reality is, there's always going to be people selling cheaper technology.
Yes,
it's just whether it's fit for purpose.
Yeah.
Like we're never going to be the cheapest because we're very broad in what we do, but we've got some very, very good tech that enables a lot of revenue and a lot of margin. So I think it's still, to be honest, the beginning for us, in the sense that, look, we're in the UK, we work with hundreds of brands, big and small.
Yeah.
But I feel like the mentality in the sector's just adjusting. We're actually just about to release this really interesting white paper. It was a survey of over 100 hospitality leaders in the UK.
Yeah.
And there's such interesting insights as to almost there's a disconnect. People really want customer data, but they don't really know how to use it.
Yeah.
So we've still got to join the dots there as to how to enable operators to be diversified in their revenue.
I think that's we talked about that a little while ago as well. There's just not enough done with it, and we try and help everyone as much as possible. The amount of data that we see, like on a just freaking monthly basis, weekly basis, is mental. And we speak to people who've never collected before, ever.
Yeah.
And they switch it on and they're in just in awe of what they can, and some don't know what to do with it. Like we're having conversations with people going, just the birthday automation would be great, just turn on just once.
Yeah, I met an operator, multi-site, 80% of their revenues through marketplaces.
Wow.
They do not have a CRM.
Wow.
We're talking over 50 sites here. So that's
mental.
Like it still exists.
Yeah.
This is not made up. That's a real conversation there. Definitely the smaller are more nimble.
Yeah.
And when they're founder led, they want to make decisions. They sort of move on it. So you do see that difference.
Yeah.
But some businesses are just behind the times.
Yeah. Or they've got the same team. It's the same thing. It's interesting. We're being introduced to different brands, and they our eyes are being opened about what's happening. I think that's changing more and more now. I think we had I was speaking to some Australian tech companies we work with, and they were like, I wish British people would just be honest and upfront. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I get like, this is great, and then I get blanked for 6 months.
Yeah.
He goes, but I go to Europe, I go to Australia, and it's like, that's great. That's the sign, let's go. And he goes, everything here is like, you're just too polite. Can you stop being too polite and just be honest? Not be honest,
you know what?
But just be upfront.
It's funny because I had, maybe it's the same person. I had a conversation with someone in an Australian tech company.
Yeah.
He's actually British, but he said Aussies will be like, let's give this a shot.
Yeah.
English will be like, here are 5 reasons why this is not going to work.
Yeah. Or I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting. We find in Europe, it's straight away. And in America, they tell me to stop talking, and they've already signed up on the website. They go, Adam, stop talking. I've already signed up. Can we just do this?
Yeah.
I've got my tech guy on hold. Can we just do this? It's so weird. Not weird. It's just the way it is here. So I find it hilarious. But listen, is anything new? You said you got the wiper coming out. Is there new stuff coming for Slurp?
There's always new stuff coming. We're a tech company.
Of course. Anything you can share, because obviously, listen, you're always building. You're always agile and always building. It's the way you're in hospitality. It's not like retail. Everything changes in hospitality every month.
It's that's benefit of being in technology. It's either scary because it's changing so fast, or there's an opportunity because it's changing so fast. I think for us, it's going deeper where we've already gone. I'm very comfortable that enabling the order channels web and app. It's the right move. The order types, as you said, click and collect, on-demand delivery, catering, etc. Delivery to me remains a key focus and an area where I think we've got a significant amount of sophistication.
Yeah.
And there's some very interesting things that we're going to be releasing in the second half of the year. Ultimately, it's going to make it as even more seamless that's possible for operators to scale delivery and more seamless for the end customer. Nice. So we want to give confidence to brands to go, I really want to turn up the heat on this and know that it's just going to work.
Yeah.
And that's what we're focused on.
So you're trying to make it that channel where they don't even need to worry about it.
Correct.
Right? It just runs in the background.
Already we're at a place where people are very comfortable in scaling it, but I just want to do this.
Yeah, so seamless.
For the whole market, really.
Yeah. It's important. I mean, if people can see it and it's easy to just switch on, it just works in the background. It's like CRM automations. You sort of turn it on and let it, they call it set and forget. It would be really nice if you could have this just turn the slurp up and then you just choose the type of sector, QSR, casual dining, whatever, and it gets your predefined templates. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of that stuff that actually already is all right there, but I think, going deeper into delivery and being that point of contact for D2C, I think we've got a good chance of just, really dominating the market.
Amazing. Well, listen, thank you very much for coming. You were absolutely right. It's on the hour mark, so we did very well. So I'm going to give you that round of applause, which you can hear from here, but everyone else can hear. So there you go. But thank you so much for coming. This was super interesting. We get some really nice clips actually, because there's some really interesting stuff that you've mentioned. And I think the most important thing is data, right? There's literally my local Turkish restaurant. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, when I went in there last time, it was like, don't order online. We're now doing it. And it's like, I've been harping on them for the last 5 years. And like, you're losing money. And it's just one. They've only got one. Yeah. And now they're doing it and they're charging £2 for delivery, or £2.50, whatever, which I'm very happy to pay. Yeah. And whatever I don't even know what they're using because my wife ordered it. And the Just Eat driver just turned up. So I was obviously plugged into Just Eat Direct, whatever. Uber Direct. And it worked. Yeah. And it was much easier. And they know who everyone is now. They know who everyone is anyway, because when you phone up, they're your local. Oh, from your voice, they know who you are. But it's nice to see that happening, You don't have to worry about having to get Direct and everything else plugged into all the other pieces and the additional charges for everything. Yeah. You can just go. So I think if they're doing it, then there's definitely going to be
some brilliant independent operators that are using Slurp that are crushing it. I can tell you that. They're just, some of them are so sophisticated. Yeah. It's a mentality thing. And some of them are so hot on their email marketing, their push notifications, their timely deals.
As soon as you start doing that and bringing in the data of what's coming in and with the loyalty you mentioned, if you could set that automation piece up to then they get benefits for automatically, then it's that channel that's just making money for you already. So I think that's a really important piece, because there's loads of other platforms out there, but for what you're doing to plug in the CRM to make that automation piece is awesome.
Yeah, it's all about lifetime value. Yeah, it's a term that hospitality don't really use. No. But it's all that repeat rate, lifetime value of the customer. Yeah. Treat those customers well.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, we're going to hit the last 3 questions, which is best restaurant.
Oh, geez, best restaurant. This is a hard one. I'm going to say, you know what? Nostalgic. Yeah. Raw duck. I don't know if anyone would know this, but raw ducks used to be at the top of London Fields. Okay. And is now Pophams, which is great. Yeah. Love Pophams as well. Also, they use Slurp. Yeah. But
Pophams is great.
Yeah. Raw Duck was just an amazing place. They've got Little Duck Picklery. Okay. Which is I think still operating in Dalston. But I just loved that restaurant so much, and I was so sad when it closed. It was just really smart dining, casual, small plates, great wine. Yeah. Big open space. Nice. I'm glad that Pophams are utilising it and crushing it.
Their product is game changing. Best burger.
Best burger. Best burger experience. I'm gonna have to go with the second week of the first ever Honest Burgers in Brixton.
Oh, really?
I was one of the lucky people that discovered this, and it was because my partner at the time was celiac or gluten-free.
Yeah.
And they were one of the few places that had gluten-free buns.
Yeah.
And they used to write on a chalkboard. And I remember when we went in, it was like, oh, we've got 10 today.
Yeah.
Now we've got 7.
Yeah.
And the guys were there who started it, and they were just Tom and those guys, and they were figuring it out. And it was just an amazing burger.
Are you gluten-free?
No.
So I was thinking sourdough.
No, I'm not.
It could be the journey through.
No, I'm not. That was an amazing burger, and it was when they just first opened, and we had takeaway for lunch. We had some of the team were out and off. So I was like, guys, I'm shouting lunch. What do you want? And so Jordan was like, Honest. I wonder who they used back then. Was it Ginger Pig or like I don't know. I know they've got their own butchery now. This was really
early
literally
doors.
early doors. More recently, you should try a Bronson burger. Pretty banging. Yeah. Yeah. Worth a shot.
There's so many new ones.
There's so many.
Yeah.
And then all the smash burger ones. I like walk past the new French one, Dumbo.
Yes.
Had like a 200-meter line. I was just like, what the hell? Like,
it's like what was Supernova last year?
Yeah, Supernova's cool. I like those guys.
It's very interesting.
There's a lot going on.
Product, right? 3 things. So Okay, cool. And best hotel?
Best hotel. There's a place in Stockholm. I think I'm going to pronounce it right or spell it right. Ethem, Ettem. I think is how it's spelled. And it's a really nice converted house building. Not sure what it was, but it's got an open kitchen.
Oh, nice.
And you have to walk through the kitchen to get to the garden.
Oh, wow.
So it's literally like someone's old kitchen.
Yeah.
And I remember going there for a long weekend, and you'd walk through the kitchen in the morning, and there'd just be like bread there. You just take it like you're in your own kitchen.
Yeah.
You'd sit in the garden, and then throughout the day they'd be like, "Oh, would you like a slice of cake?" It was just there. You'd go pick it yourself. Right? I just loved that homely.
Yeah.
It just felt like a second home, but it was really, really nice.
Yeah.
That really stands out to me as somewhere special.
Awesome. Okay, so now we have the last part, which is the 2 questions for the next guest.
Okay. First one would be, if they had to eat the same thing every week for the rest of their life, what would they pick? Because it's just really interesting to know what you choose, right? And the second one, I always find this interesting, tea or coffee? And if so, either way, which tea or which coffee? Yeah. They're my 2 questions.
Nice. Thank you very much. I'm going to give you another round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, mate. I really
Pleasure.
appreciate it.
No, thanks for coming.